You know, every week we see more and more of this. And it seems like it's not going to get better. I put it like this. For the previous week from the last video that I did, of course, we get more information. And the people I've talked to on this issue, whether it be developer on stream or gamer, I keep asking, how do these people, after seeing their comments, how do they still have a job in this industry? And I'm met with the same answer over and over, which is, that's just how the industry is. Well, that's not good enough. It's unacceptable. Don't sit here and tell me that these people are above the law, so to say. And I put it like this as well. When you have that illusion, when you try to work that illusion that you give a damn about people, that, sexism and racism, and then when it's your time to speak up, you're too damn scared to speak up, you have no right to say, to even ask of anything of anybody in this community. And I'm talking to you big YouTubers again. Because while other YouTubers have come out and said something, and thank you for that, okay? These other big YouTubers who get millions of views, they're still not saying nothing. Watch my video. Watch my stream. Fuck you. No one cares what you have to say at this point. I sure as hell don't care what you have to say at this point. Because in our time of need right now, when it comes to this community, on what is going on, you cannot sit here and tell me you're just going to ignore that. All because what? You're probably scared, because your little paycheck. Don't tell me you're going to talk about it months later at the end of the year when, maybe it's safe now to say something. We need you now. Now. Not then. Not for you to recap later on what happened. So you can, make a little bit more views, get a little bit more monetization. No. Step to the forefront or shut the hell up. That's simple. Don't ask for anybody. All this fake attitude that we're seeing, all these fake characters being put on, you have no problem screaming at video games, but you have a problem getting on camera and saying something to defend the community that you benefit against, that you benefit off of, I should say. That's absolutely ridiculous. But we're going to start off today with Kotaku. That's right. For those who don't know, Kotaku pulls this once again by taking the Hong Kong riots and comparing them to Resident Evil. This isn't the first time that they've done this. We've seen this time and time again, alright? Because before GamerGate, before it started, remember, the Ferguson issue? They took the Ferguson issue, Polygon and Kotaku, and tried to spin it to where they could talk about Watch Dogs and Battlefield Hardline. And I did a video on that, did I not? Saying that they're trying to exploit serious issues and tie them into video games so they can get a couple of views. These are the same people who want to run their mouth talking about some diversity and, we just want equality. But what you're doing is actually exploiting an issue, a serious issue, and trying to get something off of it. But maturity though, right? But journalistic integrity though, right? But you want to be taken seriously though, right? See, this is what really pisses me off because this is about as low as you can get when it comes to trying to make an article. Because obviously, you have nothing to talk about. So now you got to grab hot button issues and try and somewhat turn them or merge them into what you want to speak about in video games. That is sad. And yet, nobody's getting in trouble for this. Nobody sees how pathetic this is. Because the previous time they did this, alright, their stupid-ass fans, and I'm saying it, their stupid-ass fans defended them on this. There's no defense for this. Not at all. But yet, that's how it is, right? I'm supposed to just accept that. It's just the way it is. Are you serious? We've seen this time and time again. Like I said, the reason it flew under the radar last time and didn't get even bigger backlash was because GamerGate, had just started. So, you had all this information starting to come out over top of each other, and people just forgot about their issue that they did with Ferguson. It's pretty sad that we see this. But yet, no one's going to hold them accountable, right? Well, let's get into this, because the same fans they have that actually believe in their illusion about equality, about diversity, which we know is bullshit to them. They don't care about that, and their fans sure as hell don't care about that at this point. Because when push comes to shove and you start getting the better of them when it comes to debates, they will pull the race card, they will pull the judgment card every damn time to show their true colors. And gamers on Twitter start alerting a number of us to show us exactly what was going on. So as you can see, there's the proof that pretty much the beacon, the signal, was put out to show everybody what was actually being said. So let's see what we've come across in this previous week so far. Yeah, it's time I take care of this ignorance. All these children. I call them children because guess what? Adults, they don't act this way, okay? But I want to start with that tweet. I'm going to read off the computer, all right? And I'm going to start with the bottom half of that tweet because the top half of that is just a train wreck, okay? So it says, obviously plenty of women and minorities are stupid enough to join in. You sure that's what you want to go with? That's your final answer. That's what you tweeted. You waited, you tweeted, you looked at it, said it was okay, then you hit the send button. That's your final answer. You're going to need a lifeline after this one, all right, little girl? So I'll put it like this, all right? If women and minorities are stupid enough to join in, remember what social justice warriors said in the beginning of this? That women are the minority. Remember when that woman made that article, No Skin Thick Enough, and the person said women are the niggers of gender, and she absolutely skipped over the race issue and kept talking about how she was, being slighted as a woman? Remember that? But diversity, though. Equality, though. This woman is separating women and minorities. If you look at your laws when it comes to affirmative action, women are under the same law as minorities. And I'll put it like this. I say separating earlier because she's not saying minorities as in gender. She's not saying women are men. No, she's putting them all in there with women. So she separated it, even though we're all in the same boat. Do you see what's going on here? And this is what I mean about what people say. And sometimes they shouldn't be allowed to speak when something like this is said. It is absolutely hateful for her. Matter of fact, she should be ashamed of herself for saying such a thing. But, of course she's not going to be, because they all get defensive. That's what they do. Okay? Let's move on to the next one. At first I was going to take that tweet seriously, but then when I saw the hashtags Gamergate, Made in America, Girl Thing, it's trolling. And it goes to show you what type of people that we have in our community. And I will put it like this, alright? Understand, that person, whether they're a gamer or not, we see this time and time again in our own community, do we not? You can go to any YouTuber's video and see trolling pretty much. This is sad that someone has to do this. It shows how pathetic people are in their lives that you have to make such a statement. But it is a racist statement nonetheless. However, understand that people like that should go ignored. However, I just wanted to show you that it is out there. Whether this person means that or trolling, and I'm going to chalk this one up to trolling, okay? It's still trying to get a reaction out of people because they have nothing else better to do in their damn lives. Instead of being productive, this is what you choose to do. It just adds to the hate on whatever side people are going to see that as. Because you should know, in 140 characters or whatever, things can be taken out of context. I don't think this can really be taken out of context, though. This is just meant to incite. That's all it is. Just incite hate. That's all it is. Just to see what happens. It's bait. So as far as I'm concerned, this person should just be ignored. However, it is pathetic that person has to act that way. Because that's all they have. Let's move on to the next one. Lee Alexander, everyone's favorite, egotistical, self-serving, conniving, lying, cowardly game journalist that always finds a way to back out of the debate. That's right, she always finds a way. I'll just write on my blog and talk about equality. Really? It's funny, it's the same person when she talked about this issue before about men and women and how to solve these issues. She said, you shouldn't ask men, you shouldn't ask for a solution. So what's the point? Why should she be taken seriously? I don't understand how a professional game journalist can stay on a roster when wishing that there should be violent cultural backlash towards a specific area. I'm trying to figure this out. And she wants to know, can she start it? Okay, you want to start it, Lee? You know what? And I say Lee, not Lay. I know some people are saying that it's pronounced Lay. I'm saying Lee because her name doesn't deserve to be pronounced right when you were pushing this type of hate. So let's get something straight here. Since she feels though she wants to start it, because this is more coward talk. We've seen this before, kill all men. Now we have this. That's all they do is talk. But since you feel that way, I'm going to call your bluff, Lee, alright? I invite you to come here to Philadelphia. I will take you personally down to the Badlands. That's right. I will give you a microphone. Matter of fact, no, we'll go bigger than that, alright? Because you don't need a soapbox. I'll give you a megaphone. And I'll let you go into the Badlands, alright? and let you speak about violent cultural backlash. I'll let you say everything you need to say and will not interrupt you. And we'll see how long it takes. Oh, I'll say about 2, maybe 5 minutes max, that you won't be in that area anymore because they'll erase your sorry ass. How dare you sit here and say something like that? And I'll put it like this, it wouldn't even be the men. No, it would be the women. Because people in the hood don't play that. You have to be kidding me if you think that you're going to say something like this online and think that's okay. And that people are just going to say, well, you're allowed to keep your job still. No. You cannot say something like that. But you know what? Let's move on to the second part of that tweet. Really? Really? Are we all supposed to believe that you live in the hood? Are we supposed to believe that? I want proof. And also, if you do live in the hood and you want violent cultural backlash and can you start it, then why haven't you started it in your own hood? Because you don't have a heart. This is what I mean. You want to sit here and you want to talk this junk. And it says, and ghetto is more polite than what I kind of mean. Yeah, we know what you mean. We know exactly what you mean. And you're not fooling anybody. Like I said, you're a coward. You live in the hood? Why don't you go out there and say something? You should have said something then instead of coming on Twitter and running your mouth. But you didn't. Because we all know you're full of shit. That's why. And people, like I said, frauds are everywhere around you. And it seems like for some reason, and we already know the game industry, especially gaming journalism, are full of frauds. Full of it. But this is the same woman that wants to talk about equality and diversity. The same people. But yet they want violent cultural backlash. They want to start touting racist banter. Are you going to sit here and tell me that these gaming journalists, and it's quite obvious, they are not at these tournaments. They're not. Because let's take a look at what the EXO conference looked like as opposed to your everyday, random fighting game tournament. Interesting. They all look the same over at the EXO Fest, but if you look at the fighting game community, as we all know, at any tournament, matter of fact, at any convention, we see all walks of life. We see all type, both genders, all walks of life, no matter race, creed, color, it doesn't matter. There's equality there. There's diversity there. But I guess they don't see that. I guess they're not at these tournaments. You know what? This is a good time right now for the fighting game community to stand up and show its diversity. And we know if you've watched those streams or if you watch those tournaments, there's plenty of diversity. So I'm not trying to hear that. It just seems like even if these people are at the convention, they're not paying attention to what's, their surroundings. It's because it's not about the community. It's not about diversity. It's not about equality. When they're there to do their little panels, it's about them. And that's the sad part about this. That's the truth about all this. It has nothing to do with equality, diversity, or whatever. But that's not all. No. Lee Alexander goes even further to promote more hate. That's right. Let's see it. So one of her followers tweets that to Lee Alexander, and I put it like this. I've said this before. If you are supporting somebody who has that type of hate, who promotes that type of hate, you are no better than that person. Okay? Now, this person decided to tweet Lee Alexander saying that, she just killed another career, and it's a mild day. And she proudly retweeted that. That should go to show you what type of person she really is. But hey, for some reason, that's acceptable in our community. It's acceptable in the industry now. How is this diverse again? How is this equality again? How do you promote such hate, knowing that this is where it's going to teeter over, and it already has? But if for some reason Gamasutra feels as though that's okay to keep her on roster doing that, right? We'll talk about that right now. Gamasutra, for those who don't know, gamers got together, that's right, and contacted Intel and said, look, if you don't pull your ads from Gamasutra, we will never buy your products ever again. All right, if you're going to be aligned, if you're going to, have this type of association with this type of hate. And you know what they did as a business? They pulled their ads. That's right. They pulled their ads and said, look, we don't want anything to do with this. This is not what we're about. However, we're going to stay out of it because we're not taking sides, but we're going to stay out of it because it's going to hurt our business. And they did the right thing as a business. However, I'll put it like this also. The Gamasutra, they tweet themselves saying, yes, they lost Intel. And if you look at the tweets at the bottom, which I will put in the info bar, right, they talk about how this is direct correlation from Lee Alexander. That's what this is. Even though Intel didn't say it themselves, gamers said, look, if you look at her tweets and you see what they did, there's a reason why they did it. You put two and two together. That's what you do, okay? However, I do want to move on and talk more about Intel, because I want you to see this, okay? I'm going to put a graphic up that shows where GameSpot said Intel pulled their ads off of Intel. Intel pulled their ads off of Gamasutra. However, look at the bottom tweet of stupidity from people who do this. Seriously, it just gets worse and worse, it seems, these days when it comes to stupidity and gamers who don't know. I can't even call them gamers at this point. People who have no idea what the hell they are talking about. Wait a minute. I don't recall Nintendo having any type of authority on The Sims. I believe EA has The Sims. So what is this person talking about? Are they talking about that Tamagotchi life thing? Because if so, then you really need to do your research before speaking. Once again, we are seeing people who tweet, wait, read what they say, and then hit the send button. And still don't know what the hell they're talking about. You know what? Let's see even more stupidity when it comes to gamers. So, gameplay it's meaningless now, huh? I want you to tell me more. Please tell me more, because as far as I'm concerned, you just put your whole foot in your mouth. It's not even your foot. You went as far as putting your knee in your mouth. That's how far down it went. You gotta be. I want you to tell me more on this, because you gotta be kidding me if you think gameplay is meaningless these days. You know what? Let me just. Here's the sad part. There's people out there who support this. You know what I mean? This type of talk. Like, come, stop. Just stop. You know what? You know what? Let's just move on. Okay? Let's just. Wow, that's really stupid. Okay, let's just move on to more about Intel, because you should know by now, once Intel pulled their ads, that's really stupid, man. Anyway, when Intel pulled their ads, okay, you had, of course, the usual suspects attack Intel. I'm talking about usual suspects in gaming journalism. So let's see what one site had to say about them. Wow, when they really lie, they really stick to it, don't they? Somebody will tell me when the hell was this about anti-feminism? The last I checked, Gamergate and Not Your Shield was about transparency in journalism, stopping hate, which has been spewed by the gaming journalists, which is why the ads were pulled, and also minorities not being used for beneficial gain. That's what this was about. And all of a sudden you want to try to say it's still anti-feminism. How can you write such an article and try to keep pushing this? You should be ashamed of yourself. You think if you write this garbage down that eventually somebody's going to listen to it and say, this is the gospel? You're lying. And you know you're lying. You should be ashamed of yourself. But you know what? That's not all. Because if anybody needs to see more, hate towards this issue, because apparently this writer doesn't think that's what it's about, I'll show you more. For those who don't know, Dell, that's right, an employee from Dell came out and attacked Gamergate. So now you're comparing us gamers to ISIS. All right, let's get something straight here. All right, first we had a badass journalist who said he respected ISIS more than gamers. Now we have these people comparing us to ISIS. Let's get something straight, because I've seen this in the previous week or so. Every time somebody says that somebody is bad or doesn't agree with them, they compare them to ISIS. Why is this? I cannot believe that you're comparing gamers who want, transparency in journalism to people who behead others. Has anyone been beheaded on your end? I don't know. Has any gaming journalist been kidnapped and beheaded? I would want to know this, because I haven't seen it yet. This is dramatic. It is extreme. And when this happened, gamers went after Dell. And they kept contacting Dell to the point where Dell shut down their contact services. They are in full damage control with Dell. And they haven't said anything yet, or at least I haven't seen anything yet, on their response. However, I will say this. If you need more hate, understand, people who were against Gamergate and video games in general, they have now decided to petition the White House to ban Gamergate and video games altogether. Quite the desperate ploy. And then you have the nerve to say that it's, that Gamergate is a hate campaign? Really? I put it like this. The only hate that I'm really seeing as of late has actually been from the other side. I mean, you've got gaming journalists calling for violent cultural backlash, and let's be honest here. You're talking about in the hood in general. There's hoods all over the place. If she got what she wanted, that would be mass slaughter. That would be carnage. That would be a lot of chaos. Do you understand that? But yet she's allowed to stay on, she's allowed to stay on roster. We've seen people who say, you shouldn't get on Zoe Quinn for, you're slut-shaming her for sleeping with all those guys. No, we're getting on her for sleeping with all those guys to, to get ahead in business because of what she got out of it. She benefited out of it. Not slut-shaming, oh, you just slept with guys. No, we're not even talking about that. But we shouldn't, judge her because she's a woman. However, the same people who say that women who support Gamergate are nothing but garbage and they're trash and they don't deserve to breathe. It's amazing how hypocritical these people can be. You want to sit here and call us terrorists, but you're the ones who are asking for violent confrontation. You're the one who wants to kill all men. But yet, us gamers who are just asking for equality, and I say equality because there's already diversity, not within the gaming journalism, but within our community. We're asking for equality because we want transparency in journalism so that you respect us on the same level. But it seems like that's too much to ask for. So we get all these people together, and everyone starts to say, hey, look, the power of the consumer goes further than these companies. And it does, because without us, it doesn't work. And now they are scared. And they've pulled every trick in the book and try and stop us. They've even resorted to the tactics that gamers were used to. Oh, you're nothing but a bunch of nerds and dorks, misogyny, rapists. You're nothing but violent people. You're nothing but killers. You don't give a damn. You're socially inept. You can't. You just try so hard. And we're going to talk about a little bit of, social awareness in a bit. But for everything that they've said to us, we're still standing. And we're still saying, is that all you got? Because we've done we've been through a hell of a lot more. However, I do want to talk about being through more. And this is sad that what we're seeing now. And I want to talk about this. Gamergate. If you said something you regret, be prepared. It's an article about one of the people in the industry trying to do damage control for all this. And it's not working. It's not going to work. Sorry, not going to. All right? However, developers, and I talked about this with developers, with indie devs, on a stream on Saturday. Logical Minority had a stream about this. He had indie devs come in, and we actually had a nice little talk about, things. And they said that, there are developers who are afraid that they're going to lose their jobs or they won't make it in the industry due to the fact of these gaming journalists. And there's an article that says, my dreams are in the hands of the media that I largely disagree with. And that's on Gamergate, okay? So understand that these people, they're not going to go any further in their career if they disagree with them because, as they had said on Saturday, it is a very SJW heavy crowd. It's a lot of people who talk about diversity, but you don't see much of it. You don't. It's amazing. And I know we've seen a lot of people who say, this is, white people with white people problems. And I'm not even going to go that far because, no, it affects all of us as a community, no matter what race. It does. But it seems like nobody wants to call them on that either. And if they do get called on it, like we saw with Not Your Shield, guess what? They just ignore it. They call you sock puppets. That's what they do. Until you show a picture. You shouldn't have to show a picture for proof. But it seems like that's, And now because of all this fighting with Gamergate and, with the gaming journalists, if you notice, Not Your Shield has kind of flown under the radar. If you haven't realized it. Not talked about much. This is the sad part. So now you have to question, what gaming journalists, since they're not touching this issue because obviously they've been baked on it, because they knew they were wrong. But why haven't they talked about that? Don't they want diversity? Shouldn't you be calling them on that and saying, hey, look, why aren't you talking about Not Your Shield anymore? Shouldn't you? You have all these people, all these gamers, all these walks of life come out and say, no, you're not going to use us for your agenda, but you didn't cover it, did you? No. But diversity, though. I'm going to keep moving on. And I told you people before that because of everything that's going on within our industry, that they're attacking us consumers. And now we have people, as I've shown you already, attack us gamers who have no idea what's going on. For those who don't know, CBS, that's right, CBS News, Luke Burbank, I want to get this right. He trashes gamers and Twitch. And I would show you the video. I'll put the link in the info bar so you can see it, because it's absolutely ridiculous. This guy goes on to talk about how he doesn't understand how you gamers can sit behind a computer or sit behind a console TV and play video games. Matter of fact, he doesn't understand why you can sit and watch someone else play video games. Because when he played video games, he couldn't get past Mario Brothers. And it brought back bad memories for him. Bad, as he would say, trauma. Because he couldn't get past the mushroom guy, little mushroom guy going across Mario Brothers. You know, us gamers, we would just say, get good, get better. Practice, get better. But for him, it was such a traumatic experience, he needed to talk about this issue. And he goes on to tell you people to go out into the outside world and understand that the real world is in 3D and all this other. And he just constantly bags on gamers. Here's the thing, Luke Burbank, I'm in the outside world. My life doesn't revolve around this, okay? I have a career. I have a beautiful house. I would love for you to tell me I need to get out in the real world. Hell, I don't even see you outside, talking about anything else. This radio guy. He gets mad because now that gaming is being put in stadiums and they're filling up stadiums and this is just wrong because he disagrees with it. So therefore, if he disagrees with it, you are the problem. Luke Burbank, do you understand how much money is raised through Twitch for charity? I guarantee you, if you look at the numbers, it's a hell of a lot more than you yourself have attempted. How dare you sit here and say that you don't understand, it's understand if you don't understand what's going on, but to trash and bag on gamers and reflect them in some type of negative light because they're actually doing something. That's ridiculous. This is the type of talk, and I was really tempted to follow him on Twitter, and not follow him, but, contact him on Twitter. But I wasn't sure if it was the real Luke Burbank or not. But this guy clearly has no clue what the hell he's talking about, let alone looks like he spends much time in the outside world himself. Guarantee you he doesn't. If you can't grasp a simple understanding of, hey, I'm playing a game and people are watching me, as opposed to sitting on your couch and playing a video game and having friends watch you there too. It's the same thing. People are still viewing it. If you go to a football game, you're viewing other people. You're telling people go outside and make something of themselves, and you're talking to a person who has. So am I the exception to the rule? Or are you going to lump me in there with the rest of them? Or are you going to finally admit you're absolutely wrong because you're ignorant? Anytime, Luke Burbank, you want to talk about this issue, we can. I have no problem. My door is open. And that goes for any of these people who decide anti-GamerGate, anti-not your shield. Anytime, any place. There's nothing to be afraid of. Because as far as I'm concerned, every person that's, like I said, has been asked for a debate, they always back down. I'd rather just write on my blog and edit and say this. And guess what? The stuff that you're editing and saying and greenlighting, it's still bad. And yet you break your arm patting yourself on the back. I don't understand. You know what? Let's move on. Speaking of more positive things, Luke Burbank, Pac-Man franchise launches a campaign to fight against breast cancer. Where are you on that? Don't see anything on that. Before I go any further, I want to say this. For everything that we've seen with Gamergate, and everyone have difference of opinions, they could have done this a number of ways, and it could have been positive. They could have come on stream. They could have come, and play games with gamers and speak their issues while promoting said positive game. They could have did that. But the gaming journalists decided they didn't want to. I mean, let's be honest here. You're a gaming journalist. You talk about how much you love this industry. What games have you played? And I'm not trying to hear Gone Home. What games? Prove it. Get on stream. Talk. Show it. If you want people to take you seriously, then prove you got to test. Your metal has to be tested here. If you're so great, what Nintendo say? Settle it and smash. I mean, seriously, you can connect with gamers more than what you're doing if you go about the right way. You're choosing not to. You know what? I'm going to move on. Sony is working diligently on The Last Guardian. So, Last Guardian fans, be ready for that. Also, 2K15's player rankings are downright ludicrous, and the article is absolutely right. It is ridiculous that Kevin Durant is on the cover, who is your poster boy, but LeBron James has a higher ranking than him. You gotta be kidding me. And Kevin Durant is coming off his MVP season. Stop. Just stop, alright? Also, this is very important. Please listen. Call of Duty Director says that the U.S. should consider plainclothes soldiers in schools. You are crazy. You're crazy. Alright? You do understand that is slowly becoming a police state if you do that. Alright? Or a military state if you do that. Also, he says that he's admitting this, and I want you to listen to this really good. He's admitting that he's brainwashed people into buying Call of Duty. He's brainwashed you fans. Now, after a company has the balls, a director, Call of Duty director, has the balls to admit that, hey, I brainwashed you. Are you still going to buy that product? Are you still going to wait for Call of Duty to come around every year? Huh? Or are you going to ask for this guy to hand in his resignation for being so damn cocky? if you want to keep playing Call of Duty. From now on, Call of Duty commentators, I'm surprised a number of Call of Duty commentators haven't talked about this. Oh, wait, you're not talking about it because you're worried about monetization. You don't really give a damn about the community anyway. You just want to play Call of Duty and get money off of it and views. I forgot. It's amazing when these people, the arrogance that these people have to say such things and expect you to still support them. But you know what? I want to talk about something that's a little bit more positive that we've seen with technology. For those who don't know, I know a lot of people do not like the Xbox Kinect, but I will say we've seen in the past that the Kinect, if you take it outside of its video game realm, we have seen it help doctors and hospitals, and do surgeries with it. We've seen these type of things. We've seen the Kinect help people who have disabilities, especially with their sight. We've seen these type of things. Now, I'm going to show you what the Kinect 2 can do and just how accurate it is outside. Because we're not talking about gaming on this standpoint, no. How it could benefit people in the real world.
We present a real-time system for tracking the continuous articulated motions of a user's hand with only a commodity depth camera. Our system can reconstruct the complex articulated pose of the hand whilst being robust to tracking failure and supporting flexible setups such as tracking at long distances without over-constraining the user to close-range forward-facing scenarios. Our system offers new levels of robustness and flexibility for interactive applications. Here we show a wide range of poses that our tracking algorithm can reconstruct. Notice that our system can deal with fast motions and can recover from tracking loss. It can also track whilst the user is moving and at extended ranges beyond existing hand tracking systems. Because we only use the depth signal from the camera, our system is also robust to lighting changes, as well as exposure or frame rate changes of the camera. Finally, we show the range at which tracking is enabled, which in the current system is several meters away from the sensor. Our system makes no assumptions about the placement of the camera and does not restrict the motion of the user. In this example, we demonstrate how our method is capable of tracking hands during extreme camera motion. Our system has been tested on a wide range of adult male and female subjects, demonstrating robustness across subjects.
Even though the first Kinect helped a lot of people outside of the industry, this upgrade is great as far as I'm concerned, especially the way it catches algorithms. This could help hospitals even more than what it already has. This is what I mean about even though there's something already good, you can always improve on it. But every time I say that, gamers for some reason get mad at me. I don't understand that. You always look for the next thing. You always look for the better thing. You always look to get better. That's how this is done. But for some reason, people get stuck in their ways and they don't want things to change. And that's the sad part. This is something that can help a lot of people. I would love to see this incorporated, like I said, not just outside the gaming industry, but also inside when it comes to people with disabilities as well. We've seen a number of people with disabilities go into tournaments and play and still dominate. But yet, they can have even more accessibility if you use this type of stuff in the right way. It's up to Microsoft how they use it. I'm not trying to hear, oh, well, Xbox only and all this other. I understand it's their product, but you could benefit so much more if you broaden this out. Stop trying to be selfish at this point. I understand you're putting in the money for the research and development. This could help a lot of people. Please do not think this is just an Xbox issue, because it's not. Okay? I want to move on. I want to talk about, MS again, because an MS executive is dissatisfied with the Xbox One in Japan, their sales. Well, what did you expect? What you thought, Monster Hunter Frontier was going to save you like it did in the last one? You gotta be kidding me. You have to know by now, Xbox, Microsoft, that you have to put in more effort than what you are doing overseas. We know you're U.S. first. We get it. North America first. And then you sprinkle it over to other countries. And as we've seen with other people, we've seen a number of complaints with Microsoft when it comes to other countries. Whether it's their pricing, whether it's their games, whether it's region locks, whether network, it's always something. So you have to understand that Microsoft, you have to work more. You need more eyes out there in those regions. You can't just say, here's your Xbox, and that's what we're going to do. Matter of fact, you released the Xbox late as opposed to here, the release in North America. You released it late over there in Japan. So I don't know what you expect. Of course they're going to see it as disrespect. Anyways, let's move on. Gamers campaign for titles from Sega for PC. And I'm for this. There's a petition for it. I'm for this due to the fact that we've seen other games hit Steam with no problem. PC gamers want these games like Valkyrie, Chronicles and things of that nature. Give it to them. Give it to them. What's the problem? Just pour it over. Make sure it's clean. Clean it up, pour it over. It's not a problem. Put it on Steam, Sega. All you can do is benefit from this. I don't know why people should have had to make a petition in the first place. Whoever is in those front offices, you should have somebody with stats saying, look how much Steam is making off of these games. Even old games, look how much they're making off indie games. We could take advantage of this and put our games on there. And you haven't yet. I don't understand it. What are you waiting for? Anyways, we'll move on. Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition is unplayable in Germany. That's right. Apparently, it's a violence issue. There's tweets back and forth with customers towards customer service, and it seems like they're not on the same page. I will leave that in the info bar for you as well. DICE is ensuring that Star Wars Battlefront isn't a Battlefield 4 repeat. DICE, EA, I haven't talked about EA this entire time. EA, DICE, let's get something straight here. If you don't want it to be a Battlefield 4 repeat, how about this? Fix Battlefield 4 first. And then you go to Star Wars. I forgot. You got to push out the next thing and just say, well, we think Battlefield is okay. Let's just throw them DLC instead of fixing the damn game. As far as I'm concerned, after Battlefield 4, I don't care how much you like Star Wars. You shouldn't even be thinking about this yet until you see something that's worth it. No way in hell can they do something what they did with Battlefield 4 and expect gamers to flock to Star Wars. Oh, I forgot. They're banking on the fan base. Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 were great games. I still have them. They're very fun for the PS2. But don't sit here and tell me that you're going to take advantage of the Star Wars fans simply, and think we're just going to disregard what you did with Battlefield 4. You can make a statement all you want about how you're trying not to make the same mistakes. You want to make sure, you want to prove, you want to get those people back their trust. Fix the game before that. Fix Battlefield 4. Bottom line. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be trusted. Now, I want to talk about this last thing, Bloodborne. And I'll put it like this. We talked about Bloodborne before because they were saying how people didn't beat the demo and that they were challenging gamers at TGS to beat the demo. And then we saw, not too long ago, where Destiny got caught. It was a glitch or whatever. It was leaked that they showed all these upcoming DLC and all this stuff, right? Well, Bloodborne's having the same problem. An alpha glitch reveals unannounced content coming for Bloodborne. So now gamers are mad. People are getting very upset, and they have every right to be upset about this. It's sad that this is what they have to do. I've said this before, all right, because I don't need this computer anymore. I've said this before. If you want your consumers happy, you can listen to their requests, their suggestions, all right? But you have to keep them on the same level. Same thing with the gaming journalists, same thing with the industry. You have to keep your consumers on the same level of respect. If you don't do that, you are always going to see backlash. And the fact that everything that you've seen today in this video, the hatred, the arrogance, this doesn't get better. This is not the way you run an industry. If this was any other industry, you'd have been fired from your job. There is no way that this is about, as we know, supply and demand at this point. This is about, you're going to take what I give you and you're going to like it. And you don't have to put up with that.